So a lot of people are just getting into brewing at home, and a great method of being able to do this is pour over. Now you've had a bunch of experience. I know that when you started 10 years ago, you were the first to have a pour over bar in your coffee shop. Can you give people some tips and tricks around pour over, or some methods that you might recommend as they're just getting into it?
Sure. I mean, yeah. So at the shop we do pour over. We also have a already dripped coffee for people who are in a little bit of a hurry.
Yeah.
But pour overs take about 3 minutes. It's really not. It doesn't take that long. I actually prefer pour over at home. That's how I brew the coffee that I drink at home. The trick is just having the right kind of station set up, right? You wanna weigh not only the beans before you start to do the pour over, but you want to weigh it as you're pouring it over. So instead of eyeballing it, if the ratios go off, it can really throw the balance out of whack. So mostly it's getting a formula that works for you and making sure you're weighing throughout the process. And then, like most coffee aficionados or people that do their own pour overs know that the sort of key to a good pour over is making sure that you're getting a nice bloom on the grind, right? So that you don't just pour in and get your coffee going. You want to soak the grinds and let it sit for at least 30 seconds, and then start to pour over. And that's really where all the magic happens. But yeah, between the ratios and just getting the right proportions down, and then the timing of it all, it comes together pretty easily.
Yeah. Do you have a preference on your temperature? Do you like to have a certain temperature range that you stay within typically? Do you brew hotter, a little cooler?
We do about 200 degrees on the pour overs. That there is in-house. There's a little bit of a downside to that, in that I don't want to go any much higher than that. It's really not going to taste very well. But when we serve the coffee, you do have to got to get to it a little, unless you don't mind it getting a little bit, losing a little bit of the heat. Then you'll be fine. I actually prefer coffee to mellow a little bit, because then you get more flavor out of it that way. But some people like their coffee really, really hot, and in that case, we actually pour over might not be the best way for them to drink the coffee. We have the batch coffee that's really hot for them to have. Or if you're going to add milk to it, it's going to take it way down. So you lose that heat almost immediately, but nothing higher than 200 degrees from pour overs here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. So do you have any recommendations in terms of kinds of pour over, equipment, whether V60 or?
Yeah, we use the Kalita brand porcelain, and to be distinguished between some brands that have the cone shape, we actually use the ones that have the circle bottom, so that when you're pouring over the way that the coffee, if you're doing little nice controlled circle pours on your coffee to really spread it to the entire grinds, it'll filter through much more. It's much more conducive to that style. Whereas the cone filters are fine, but so much gets trapped on the sides that it doesn't really work. So if you have the ones, the Kalitas have the circle bottoms, and that does particularly well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks for the recommendation.
No problem.